Okay, today we are talking about value, and we have learned that value is a light and dark version of the same color. I'm going to be using paint today. I've got pink and I have a little bit of black and white. I'm going to be using the black and white to mix the light and dark versions of the color pink. If it's lighter, it's called a tint. If it's darker, it's called a shade. Now first I'm going to begin with a pencil and a ruler on my paper, and I'm going to just draw a few random lines. You can do about 2 to 4 lines on each side of your paper going in each direction. There's 1, 2, let's see, 3 going that way. That looks good. And then let's do maybe 2 coming down this way. What this does is it just divides our paper into a bunch of fun shapes. Now I'm going to be painting each one of these shapes a different value of pink. I have a page here that I have already started. I'm going to go ahead and show you kind of what that looks like at the beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to mix some of those different values. Now, like I said, I've got pink, black, and white on my page. Some of those I'm going to paint just solid pink, just the plain old out of the tube way the color goes. I'm going to fill this in carefully, trying to go all the way to my pencil lines without leaving any ghosties. See, that's a ghostie right there. If I get scribble-scrabbly, we want to go all the way up to the line, filling it in carefully. Do the whole thing like this. This is also a good exercise on brush control. I'm using about a 3/4 inch soft bristle brush right now. I like working with flat brushes because I think I can get a lot of variety and I can fill an area in quickly with that. Alright, so that's just the solid pink. That's perfect. That's a nice middle value. That's the same as what you see here and here. Now, I want to mix a lighter tint of pink. Let me show you how to do that. Now, I'm about to change colors with my brush. So I don't want to stick this dirty pink brush right into the white. So I'm going to use my water here. I'm just going to give it a little sloshy, sloshy, sloshy. And I always wipe it on the edge so it's not dripping anywhere on my page. Whenever we do this in class, we're sharing the palette that has the fresh paint on it, and we use a separate palette to mix in. So that's how I'm going to show you today. To mix a lighter value of pink, I'm going to go ahead and start with the white. I think it's best if you always start with the lightest value that you're working with first. And then I'm going to rinse out my brush again, so I always dip with a clean brush. I'm going to take just a tiny bit of pink and mix that in with the white. Now you can see that I have a much lighter value pink to use. I think I'll go ahead and maybe I'll put it down, maybe right here. Now here's the fun part of this project is that you don't want any two values exactly the same next to each other. You can see that I'm awful close on these two, but that one's quite a bit lighter still than this one over here. And this one is lighter than that one. So I think we'll still be okay. If I wanted to get it even lighter than that, of course I could always add a little bit more white. And if we're going to be polite to our table mates, we want to always rinse our brush so that way we keep our first palette nice and clean. I could add a little bit more white to that, maybe even a lot more white to that. And I can paint another value. Uh-oh, what happened up there? Those two are almost the exact same value. So what should I do? How could I troubleshoot that? Well, here's what I would do. I would let that dry for just a minute and then come back on top of it with a darker value a little bit later. So I'm going to let that dry and I'll come back to that in just a bit. Let me go ahead and show you how to mix a darker value since we're speaking of it right now. I'm going to use my regular pink and I'm going to add just a little bit of black to it. You can see that these are quite dark. I'm going to see if I can get one that's kind of in the middle of those two. So I always want to rinse out my brush. When we're mixing values, we really don't ever want to mix the black and white together because that'll give us kind of a gross mud color. So we want to just stick with the pure color and then just a tiny bit of black or white to add just a little bit of value. Alright, I'm going to come up with just, a tiny dab. I just put it right there on the corner, just a teeny little bit. Oh, there we go. That's a good kind of middle value there. I think I'll paint the middle value. How about that? Oh, I want to show you something cool with brushes. Watch this. Whenever you're using a flat brush like this, if you go side to side, you get a very thin stroke. If you go up and down, you get a very thick stroke. See that? So there's a lot that you can do with a brush. And if you keep that in mind, that will help you when you get ready to do some of these corners to make sure that they're nice and clean and straight. And on a project like this, I like to keep my brush strokes going in the same direction. I think it makes it look a little cleaner. Now there are times that you want some choppy brush strokes or some kind of textured thing, but on this project we're trying to have good brush control, keeping things going the same way, filling in our areas just like that. All right, so let's see, if I want to make that a little bit darker, what color should I add? Black, right? Get just a little bit more black in there. Ooh, that's very dark. Very, very dark. Let's see. This just might be the perfect one to come back over the top of this one with. See, because those two ended up being about the same. It's just almost dry now. So that's a good time to cover that little mistake up. Oh, not a mistake. Just a learning experience. That's what that was. Hey, there we are. Okay, so I'm just going to keep having fun mixing values until I fill my whole page, every single section with a different value. Eventually, we're going to come on top of this with some letters that we created using textures, and we're going to cut out a piece out of construction paper to put behind there. We'll be gluing this on top to make a nice, fun little initial page that has our initial on it and a nice little value background. So that combines a lot of the different elements of art all together into one. So that's some value painting for you. I hope you enjoy it. Have a wonderful day.